Hello, everybody. How are you doing? How are you doing? This is S. Anthony Thomas. This is the S. Anthony Says podcast, also known as S. Anthony Says, episode number 489. Folks, I'm going to call this one, You Can't Fix Everything. And the reason I say that is because, well, you can't fix everything. Now, I feel weird saying this because I was one of those human beings that literally thought I could fix anything. I could fix any relationship. I can fix friendships. I really thought I could fix everything. And I had a 90% success rate when it came to those things. Now, when I say fix it, even if the relationship ends, if it's amicable, I think of that as a success because maybe that's someone you shouldn't have been with, or maybe the relationship ran its course, but you don't have the incredible negativity and hatred towards each other because who the heck wants to have that crap? But if you really think about it, the overwhelming majority of relationships that you're going to be in a romantic sense, all but one or two of them are going to be successful. Why? Because they're going to end, and they're probably going to end badly. You know how when the relationships end, just think about what a relationship ending means. The person who you think of as the most important person in the world, the person who you get undressed with and make animal noises with, they're going to take away your best friend and they're going to take away the partner that you share a bed with. So of course, when someone takes away something that valuable, you don't like it. You resent it. You get angry. Because a lot of times, even if it's tough and rough and hard, you don't think it's going to end. You just think that you're going through a tough time. And in many cases, it really is just a tough time. What's broken is actually something that you could fix, but one of you, maybe even both of you, but in many cases, one of you has gotten to the point where you don't even want to try to repair it. You don't want to do that anymore, and you decide to exit. When a person takes themselves out of your life, like I said, especially the most important person in your life, they're taking away the two incredibly valuable things from you. Like I said, the partner that you lay down with and a best friend, the person that you knew in your mind, you believed in your mind, thought of you as the most important person in the world. And now not only do they not think you're the most important person in the world, they don't want you to be a part of their world. Now, I've been through that a few times. I'm a middle-aged guy. And I know how frustrating it is when you've been in a long-term relationship with someone and you watch them pulling away from you, right? I was in a relationship when I was younger and I watched her pulling away from me. And it was kind of painful. And I'm thinking we're just having a rough patch. Maybe she's having a hard time at work. Maybe there's some family stuff she's having that I don't know about. And I thought I could fix it. And the nicer I was to her, the more I reached out to her, the more I did things to try to make her feel better, the angrier she got at me and the more mean she was to me. Now, the younger version of myself couldn't understand why. What would make a person be mean to someone and angry at someone who's being nice to them? When I realized a little bit later on, as I got older and wiser, I realized, well, quite frankly, if people see you being nice and being extra good, quite frankly, they can't take it and blame everything on you. Because when they say, I want to break up with him because, and then they go, why would you want to break up with him? He did this, 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 and this. Now there's almost like their selling of you as a nice person sounds like and feels like an attack to them. They don't have an easy out. And all of a sudden, every conversation with their friends is nothing but a commercial for how good you are in their minds. And now she's even angrier. Ooh, she's mad. I've been there before. I know what it's like to show up at somebody's house or show up at our house and I think I'm doing something nice. We're having a dinner and we're having a great time. And you kind of have little flashbacks of what the relationship used to be like. But then the reality starts to creep back in and the truth of her not wanting to be with you anymore or contemplating dumping you starts to ease back in. And all of a sudden, the smile that you fell in love with and all of the stuff that you do naked that you fell in love with, all of a sudden, she's distant again. And then all of a sudden, you don't start, your phone calls aren't returned as quickly, right? And when you go over to the house, all of a sudden she starts taking phone calls in the other room. She never took phone calls in the other room before, right? In fact, there were times you were like, could you please take that phone call in another room? But now all of a sudden she's taking phone calls in the other room and turning up the radio. There's no reason to do that. You didn't have any secrets. Or did you? I remember being at a party at my girlfriend at the time's house near the very, very end of the relationship, right? And we're sitting there, and I had become friends with her friends, and she got a phone call, and just like she did before, she goes into the other room and closes the door, and she doesn't do that around them, but they all kind of, the party, you ever watch a movie where something happens and then like maybe the music goes down at just the right moment and something dramatic happens and everybody looks at a guy? Well, it was kind of like that. The only thing missing was that record skipping sound. The only thing was missing with that, because when she walked into the other room and closed the door and took that phone call, everybody kind of looked at me. It's almost as if their heads all turned in unison towards poor little old me, much younger me, broken-hearted me, embarrassed me. And they all kind of looked at me, and they were all staring at me, and they were still very slowly shaking their heads like, ooh. And then there was like embarrassment, and then compassion, and then kind of shame, like, ooh. And they kind of looked away from me, right? And she comes back out of the room, and they all turn and look at her. And then she realized that she had done something wrong, because not only had she been disrespectful, now she had been disrespectful in front of all of her / my new friends. Ooh. And they looked at her, and they looked at me, and then they looked at her, and then they looked at me, and then she looked at me. And it was really weird, because for a moment she had shame on her face. And then it became a little bit angry. She looked at them and she felt a little bit of shame. And then she looked at me and then she felt anger. And then I could feel something happening. You know, when you stick a pin in a balloon and the air starts coming out, and as the air starts to hit that hole in the balloon, the hole gets a little bit bigger and the air starts to come out a little bit faster. Well, quite frankly, in this description, the balloon was me and the air was my love for this woman. I could feel it leaving me at that moment, because she had done that before. She had gone in the other room, but I kind of felt I could still fix it. But as the title of this podcast is called, sometimes, you can't fix everything. And I knew at this particular point that I had put up with enough. You can't fix everything. And I didn't want to fix it anymore. Once again, like I said, I had a habit of being able to fix things. I would fix things with my friends all the time, and my group of friends, even my close friends, obviously, but also my extended friends. And I've talked about this before, but obviously I have a new audience now, so I'm going to rehash this a little bit. But I had two friends that were really good guys, but they were kind of street dude-ish, right? Like they didn't want to beat you behind, but they were really, really good at whooping people's behinds. They didn't do it all the time, but they were waiting for the opportunity. They wouldn't start anything, but if you started something with them, you really started your trip to the hospital. That's what I'm saying. And they were also very, very stubborn dudes. Very, very stubborn dudes. And if you got on their bad side, you were never going to get on their good side again. And a lot of times, if you grew up in or near the hood or hood adjacent, you had one guy like that. But my group was a little bit bigger, so they were two guys like that. And they kind of were around each other, but they knew they were basically the same type of guy. They were cordial, and they could laugh and joke if we were all together in a big group. But they didn't, they were kind of like magnets. You know what I mean? They kind of repelled each other. They didn't, they were around each other, but they weren't around each other. But as the group got tighter, they spent more time together. And because they were very, very similar type cats, they had very, very similar type things that would annoy them. Now, being who I am, and everybody in the group always told me all this stuff. I literally, because I'm pretty good at listening, they would tell me anything. I mean, I would hear all the stuff, and I'm pretty much looking at everybody, and I know all their secrets. I know all their personalities. I know everything, because they all, for some reason, decided to dump all of their information into my hard drive. I had all the information. And when you're the friend that has all the information on everybody and everybody trusts you because then you know you will not divulge their secrets, you essentially become an air traffic controller. You're aware of all the conversations and you can see the conflicts a coming. I can't get into any more specifics, but as I listened and watched the conversations that were happening around me and the information that these people were dumping into my hard drive, my mental hard drive about their lives and their movings and their comings and goings, I could tell when conflicts were coming. And in many cases, I would know when I would kind of head them off at the pass. It's a bit manipulative, but I would tell people what I was doing. 99% of the time, I would tell people, I said, look, man, you're going to get into da-da-da, and you're going to da-da-da-da-da, and I would stop it, and they would go, yeah, you're right, man, that's cool. And all of a sudden, the conflict would be stopped. But as I said, these two dudes were different types of dudes. And the other friends, if they got in a conflict, they might be mad for a few days, but I wouldn't even have to do anything. They'd call each other, they'd run into each other, they'd hug it out, they'd hug it out. They're like, man, we'll be fighting for, man. Hey, man, let's not argue about this bull stuff. But these two dudes were different. These two dudes were butt whoopers and grudge holders. And they were significant in the groups. If there was a conflict between these two, first of all, it would get physical. It would get extremely physical. And these guys, like I said, are grudge holders. If they actually balled up their fists and hit each other, the friendship that they had, the coexistence that they had, and a lot of friendships would have fractured because half would go with this group and half would go with that group. And I'm sitting in the middle as the air traffic controller. And each one of those groups would want me to pick a side. And I don't want to do that. And I also don't want these guys to start busting each other in the head because neither one of these dudes, man, it could have got ugly because none of us would have been able to break that up. All right. Just imagine, The Rock being, two guys the size of The Rock that are pissed off at each other and they want to whoop each other good, and regular sized people like me and the rest of my friends trying to get in the middle of that crap. Hell no. So I know it's coming. Two trains about to crash in the middle of the track. Oh no. And I try to pull some of the levers, but it didn't matter. They just smashed right through and they're building up speed and I could see it coming. And I know if these two trains collide, oh no, it's not going to be good. Oh no. Friendship group shattered. Oh no. Probably someone or both people are going to get seriously hurt. Oh no. Somebody's going to go to jail. Oh no. I'm going to leave that story for a moment. And I also told another story of a friend of mine who had a girlfriend. And once again, this is another rough, tough dude. And he goes to the bathroom and his very attractive girlfriend is sitting at the bar and another guy's talking to her. And at first it's just regular conversation, but then it starts to get a little flirty. And his girlfriend made it clear that she was not interested. And the guy was a little persistent, right? And my friend was walked up behind. And if you ever seen those, if you go to a bar, they have that little pole that the waitresses will take and they'll take the ticket or your bill and push it down onto the little pole. Cause it's a small, sharp stick made out of metal with a round base. And it's just there to put the bills on. This guy was a reformed buttocks whooper. And he saw this guy being persistent. Now, his girlfriend was handling it. He reached back and I saw that look in his face, man. His eyes went from human being eyes to the same eyes you see on a lion or a tiger or a leopard or any of the big cats when they see some gazelle buttocks that they want to sink their teeth into. And he looked back and I saw him looking at that little pole on the little stick I saw him looking at it. Right? And he was about to grab that thing and stick that guy with it. Now, if you do that and you already have been in problems, what do you think's going to happen? What's going to happen is you ain't never coming out of jail again. So I reached across the bar and I just knocked it onto the floor. He reached behind himself to get it and it wasn't there. And that was just the amount of enough of a delay for him to calm down. Yo, brother, what's going on? Hey, man. Oh, she with you? Yeah. Oh, my bad, brother. My bad. I ain't know. She what, you know what I'm saying? All right. Just, we cool. Just step off, man. Yeah, cool. That's a lot better than what would have happened. I was able to fix that. Now we're going to go back to the two big guys. The two trains running down the track, going faster and faster and faster. And like I said, I was pulling levers trying to stop those two trains. I knew they were going to be arriving at the same place. And I knew the conflict would jump off the moment they got close to each other. And I also realized it was a bit of a misunderstanding. And I knew that if they were both rational, non-butt whoopers, that most people would just be mad for a day or so and let it ride. Maybe they'd run into each other, or maybe somebody. Oh, but this was not going to happen. Guy one shows up and he's sitting there and he already has the look on his face. He's looking for problems. I already know. And the other guy's about to walk in and he's looking for problems. Oh no. I catch guy two. Hey man. Hey, what's going on, man? I say something funny to him. He laughs. Man, come on, man. I said, let me talk to you for a minute. Yeah, I can't say what I said to him because it would give too much information. So I said something to him. I said, stay right here, okay? Cool? Wait for me right here. All right, man. I go into the bar. Guess the other dude. I walk up to him. Yo, man. Hey, what's up, man? What's going on? So let me talk to you for a minute. And we got to say some stuff to him. Can't say what I said. It would divulge too much information. And I'm hoping the seeds that I just planted, there were no lies told. I told information that was true. And I made it a point where I planted the seeds. Hope I can fix this. Guy one sits back down. I dap him up, bro hug him. So I'm going to go get me some grub, man. I'll be right back. Other guy comes in, sees him. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. And they're standing there talking. And from the outside looking in, it looks like it may be a little bit hostile, but it looks like there's a hold on. We're just going to watch. We're just going to see how this goes. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to see how this goes. Did they listen to what I said? Did they listen to what I said? Did they listen to what I said? Bro hug. Success. Crash averted. 2 occasions where I was able to fix it. Now we're going to go back to the girlfriend who's going into the other room and obviously talking to somebody that she shouldn't be talking to. Now, on many occasions, in most occasions, the guys that were about to whoop each other up and the guy that was about to jam the other guy with the pole, I was able to fix those situations effortlessly. Sometimes a little difficult, but most of the time it was pretty effortless. And a lot of times I would just talk to the dude, yo, man, whoop, 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 and it would be fine. But as important as those were before this relationship. And those were important because these were physical altercations that could have turned serious. But for some reason, this one was even more important to me because even though I was a lot younger than I am now, this was a lady I thought I was going to spend the rest of my days on this earth with. This was a lady I really thought that by this time, the age I am now, I would be having 2 adult children who maybe will be at the point where they're starting to have children or they had young children by now. And it would be great. We'd be laughing and joking and celebrating whatever anniversary it was at the time and having a great time. And it would have been fantastic. That's what I thought in the back of my mind. And so wanting that, I thought, no matter how bad this gets, I'm going to figure out a way to fix it. And that's how I thought up until the point she walked into that other room with a lot of people in the apartment. Because I had deluded myself into thinking that I could fix it. And I had also deluded myself into thinking it was worth fixing. That wasn't the first relationship that I had that ended by my hand or by someone else's hand. But when I ended it by my hand, I always showed the other person the utmost respect. I was never disrespectful, never said mean things. It was painful. And when other people had broken up with me, those ladies were just really, they were respectful. They were cool. It was painful. All of those ended in a hug, maybe some tears, right? But it wasn't disrespectful. Can't say the same for this one. Because as I said, the air was coming out of the balloon quickly. And it shriveled up. And that all happened within seconds because I felt love for this lady when she walked into the other room. It was muted a bit. But when she walked back out and the recognition on her face that she knew she had done something wrong, it told me. I wasn't 100% sure she was talking to another dude. She could have just as easily wanted to complain about me with a girlfriend, which would have been fine. I wouldn't like it, but at the very least, she's not letting another guy up into her body or even potentially thinking about it or setting it up or thinking about it seriously. But the look on her face when she came back out told me if she hadn't been with somebody else, she was looking for somebody else, or at the very minimum, she was talking to somebody else on that phone. And hell no. There was no love in me at that point. And this was her apartment. And there was no way in the world I could sit there and hang out with all of these people who are now know beyond a shadow of a doubt what she had either done or was intending to do or setting up or seriously thinking about. And the simple fact that I'm sitting there, oh no, I thought of myself as a fixer. But then I realized I can fix something. But that something's not the relationship. Oh no, I can fix me. And how do you fix yourself in that situation? You realize that you deserve better. You didn't do anything to this person. You didn't do any infidelity. You weren't mean. You weren't nasty. You were nice to this person. This person just didn't want to be with you anymore. As it turns out, it's because the other guy had more money than I did. I found that out later. But that's really not the point. Shouldn't matter how much money some guy has. Right? Because at the time, he had more money than me. So I just walked up to the individual human beings there, the other friends, and I shook their hands and I hugged some people. They hugged me. They kind of hugged me, and it felt really weird that they were hugging me because they were basically, because this wasn't a, hey, great to see you, hope to see you again type hug. This was a, we saw that, bro. Good Lord, that was messed up type hug that I got from a bunch of people. And she can't even look at me, right? And I didn't say anything to her. I didn't wave to her. I didn't hug. I didn't do nothing. After I hugged and bro hugged and shook the hands of the last person, I just walked out the door. And I never called her again, because why would I? Some time went by, right? And as I've said before, I've talked about this relationship before. She found out that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. And she started to call me. Can't we fix this? Isn't it ironic that she used that phrase when I'm the person that was known as the fixer? Can't we fix this? You could be a master mechanic. If I take your car, break it down into individual parts and burn the individual parts and take some of the parts and put them in a hydraulic press and crush them and then sprinkle them all over the oceans of the world. You could be the best mechanic in the world, but I got news for you. You're not fixing that car. Well, as far as our relationship was concerned, she had done that to it. And I had to tell her, no, there is no fixing anything. There's nothing there to fix. I legitimately do wish you the best because I know that a part of you that is the woman I was in love with, a part of that person still exists within you, even though you made some bad choices and you exhibited some behaviors that I disagree with, so much so that I don't even want your friendship anymore. But I do wish you the best. She called and bothered me for quite a while until she finally got the hint. But that was a time when I realized, look, man, you can't fix everything. You shouldn't try to fix everything. After a while, some things just can't be fixed. If you're wondering what that sound is, I'm also not only my podcasting, I'm also doing my laundry. So please ignore that. I like to multitask, okay? So what I'm saying is I'm sure you can relate to that. I'm sure there's been situations where you really thought you could fix something. You could fix a friendship. You fix a familial relationship or a romantic relationship. But no matter what the relationship is, no matter what it is, there is a point where you go beyond the point where it can be fixed. And if you've given everything you can to the relationship, to the friendship, to the whatever, and you can't fix it, do not feel bad. Always know you did your best, because you should always do your best to try to fix it. And in that particular case, I did my best. And when I realized that that wasn't enough and there was nothing there that was worth fixing anymore, I moved on. And you should too when you're in those situations, my friends. So just remember, you can't fix everything, okay? Cool. Guess what? This episode's over. Do me a favor, my friends. If you like this show, and you do, make sure you tell somebody about this podcast, baby. Tell somebody about this podcast. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast, man, you need to remedy that by subscribing to this podcast, man. And I look forward to you coming back every week, because I'll be here next week and I'll be here every week. Much love to you all, and to all the new people that have, once again, another blast of new people have started listening. To all the new people, thank you. To all the old people, thank you. And to everybody as a collective, thank you. I will see you next week. Much love to you all. Take care.